So, when you think about exercise for diabetes, your mind probably jumps straight to managing blood sugar, right? But what if I told you the real secret to boosting your strength, your power, and even your balance isn't just that you walk, but how you walk? We're going to dive into some fascinating research that shows how a simple change in your walking pace could literally change everything.
And to really get why this is so important, you have to look at the numbers. In 2021, a staggering 537 million adults across the globe were living with diabetes. I mean, this isn't a small issue. It's a massive global health challenge. So finding simple, effective ways to manage it is absolutely essential.
And yeah, blood sugar gets all the headlines, but diabetes has this other kind of secret effect that's quietly working behind the scenes. It's a direct hit on our muscles, and that affects everything from just getting up out of a chair to your overall stability. All right, so let's dig into this hidden impact. It's this slow, creeping process, but believe me, it has some pretty serious consequences for staying mobile and independent as we get older.
You could almost see it like a domino effect, right? The research is clear. High blood sugar can mess with both the quality and the actual amount of muscle we have. Now, this isn't a small thing. It can lead to serious muscle loss, a condition called sarcopenia. And what does that look like in the real world? Well, you start moving slower, your walk gets a little unsteady, and that unfortunately just skyrockets the risk of a dangerous fall.
Okay, so that's the problem. But what if there's a smarter, simpler way to fight back? A method that pretty much anyone can do. This brings us to the hero of our story, something the researchers call interval walking training. You know, the best part about this is how simple it is. We're not talking about expensive gym memberships or complicated equipment. It's all about changing your pace. You go for a fast walk, really push it a bit for 3 minutes. Then you pull back and do a slow recovery walk for 3 minutes. Repeat that little cycle a bunch of times and try to do it at least 4 days a week. That's it. That's the whole idea. Now, an idea like that sounds great, maybe even a little too simple. But a good idea is only as good as the proof behind it, right? So, a team of scientists in Japan set up a 20-week experiment to see if this method actually moves the needle for people with type 2 diabetes. So, here was the game plan. They got 51 adults with type 2 diabetes to follow this exact interval walking program for 20 weeks. But here's the key. They weren't just checking blood sugar. They wanted to measure the really fundamental stuff that diabetes can wear down over time: their raw strength, their explosive power, and their balance. Okay, before we get to the juicy results, we gotta quickly understand what they were looking for. First up is what they call peak strength. The easiest way to picture this is just the raw, brute force your legs can create to push your body up from a chair. It's a perfect, simple test of your basic lower body strength. Next, we have explosive power. Now, this is different. This isn't just about strength. It's about speed. It's the difference between being able to stand up and being able to pop right up quickly. It's that get up and go. You need to react fast in the real world. And finally, there's balance and stability. They measured this with something called a balance index score. Just think of it as your body's wobble factor. Now, here's the tricky part. A higher score is actually bad. It means more wobble. So what they were hoping to see was that number go down. So we've got strength, power, and stability. What happened? All right, this is the moment of truth. What did they actually find after 20 weeks of just walking differently? Well, this is where it gets really, really cool. The data showed some major improvements across the board.
First, let's look at that peak strength. You can see it right here in the chart, the before bar versus the after bar. There's a clear, significant improvement. These folks got fundamentally stronger in their lower body, just from walking.
And then, check this out. Their explosive power, it saw an even bigger jump. This is huge. It means they weren't just stronger. They were quicker, more reactive. That's the kind of power that really helps prevent a fall if you stumble. And for the trifecta, their balance and stability got way better. Less wobble, more control. I mean, when you put it all together, more strength, more power, and better balance, you've built an incredible defense against that muscle weakness we talked about earlier. But wait, there's more. Being good scientists, the researchers didn't just stop at, it works. They wanted to know why it works so well. What was actually happening under the hood, inside the muscle itself? So yeah, what was the secret sauce here? What was really going on that was causing these incredible changes? And what they found is super interesting. It wasn't one single thing. Turns out there were 2 different keys to success. When it came to strength and power, the people who saw the biggest improvements were the ones who started out with better muscle quality. But for balance, the biggest gains in balance were tied to actually building more muscle mass in their legs during the 20 weeks. So it's a two-part story: quality and quantity.
So what's the bottom line? The big takeaway here is that if you want a truly effective exercise plan for managing diabetes, you can't just focus on one or the other. You need to do things that improve both the quality, the efficiency of the muscle you already have, and the quantity, the actual amount of it. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The study's authors pretty much say it all right here. They conclude that this interval walking training is a fantastic tool, especially when you combine it with other things that help you build and maintain both the quality and quantity of your muscle. So, it all comes down to this one powerful question, doesn't it? It's such a simple change. It's something pretty much anyone can try. But the science suggests that by just changing your pace, you might be able to fundamentally change your future, giving you more strength, more power, and more stability for years to come.